Good morning, everybody. Um, Wanted to make another video. Again, just mentioning, like I always do, that these videos were created for friends and family. If anybody else sees them and they can take something away, great. If it doesn't apply to you, so be it. But I wanted to share something other than pain and what I normally share. I wanted to give what I think is a truthful advice. And I take that very seriously because most advice is just your opinion. But I believe this advice, even though slightly my opinion, applies to a general truth. And I also believe that it will help some people navigate through the world better. And that's why I decided to give it. So, with that being said, something that I've learned along the way is when you have a discussion with somebody or an argument with somebody in your personal life, your business life, anybody, and you're offended by it, the most important thing, in my opinion, is to decide whether the person that's offending you or making you uncomfortable is important to you in your life. I'll give you an example. If somebody came up to you when you're walking down the street and started yelling at you, but it was in a different language that you didn't understand, and then walked away, you'd be slightly taken aback by it, but you wouldn't be offended because you didn't understand what they were saying. You might be slightly offended, like, well, geez, what got into him, her, what the heck? And then you would just move on with your life. But taking it a step further, if somebody says something to you that you're not comfortable with, you have to ask yourself, is this person important enough for me to have a follow-up question? Like, what did you mean by that? Because when you interpret something that I or someone else says, and you're way off, and it happens quite frequently, right? The way your filter is and how you went through life, you may interpret it completely different. Now, I'll give you another example. If I were to say to you, and let's say you were a little bit overweight, and this is like something that's in the media now, right? If you were a little bit overweight and I said you should lose some weight, most people would be offended by that. And if you followed up and said, well, what do you mean by that? In my personal opinion, I would have answered, I've had health problems throughout my life. And I know that there's a fact that the older you get or the longer you're overweight, you will start to have more health problems. And I hate to see anybody with health-related issues that could be prevented. So my filter is different. So then when I make that statement, it does truly mean something different to me. And then based on that information, you can choose to follow or not follow, be offended, not offended, but you at least have more information to make your decision. So I think it's so important in relationships of all kinds to not take things at face value and to ask follow-up questions if that person means something to you, so that you're not going down the wrong path and assuming this person was attacking you or whatever may be. I think it's so important for communication overall and just really asking the questions, because your assumption, and you know what they say about assuming, your assumption is this person meant this or this person meant that, and it could be so far from your personal truth that it changes the way you think about that person, and it probably shouldn't have happened that way. So whether or not that person meant this or that or the other thing, at least you have more information to make your decision. And I think the world would be a lot better place if we just communicated more. I think that's really a big problem in the world. I think we just take things at face value, and then we, based on our upbringing and what we've been through in our lives, internalize it completely different. So I just think that's really important to say for specifically for my daughter and anybody else that could grab something from it. I don't claim to know everything. It's just something that I've noticed, and I think it's a fair assessment and a fair opinion without leaning one way or the other. Just get more information and communicate with your loved ones or anybody, and don't just make blanket statements without a follow-up description of what you meant. Thanks for listening, and have a great day.